Barbra Streisand's marriage has always been big news, but in 2025, it's gotten really interesting. Her marriage has become truly mysterious. Behind closed doors, the couple does strange things late at night, follows unusual routines, and has private habits that nobody else has ever seen. And as the years go by quietly, what happens when nobody's watching might surprise you more than you could ever imagine. Their love story didn't start in a magical place. It began in a living room full of people they didn't know, soft music playing and the sound of dinner plates clinking. In 1996, Barbra Streisand went to a dinner party for a blind date. She wasn't even sure she wanted to go on. She was 54 years old. James Brolin was 56. Both had lived long lives, loved people deeply, lost people deeply, and learned how to protect their hearts. Neither one expected anything special that night. Barbra showed up quietly, and her confidence disappeared almost right away. Instead of going into the room with the grown-ups, she went downstairs and played with the kids who were down there. She stayed with them because it felt safe. She could laugh and hide how nervous she was without anyone noticing. Only when someone told everyone come sit down for dinner did she finally go upstairs. The second she saw James, she stopped moving. She had pictured a tough mountain man with a big beard and long wavy hair. The man sitting at the table looked nothing like that. He had a super short buzz cut and no beard at all. It was so different from what she expected that the first thing she said was a joke. She walked behind him, touched his head, and asked who messed up his hair. She later laughed about how unpredictable she can be. But right then she was just being herself. James felt something special right away. He would later say that her honesty hit him harder than any charm or beauty ever could. In that moment, he thought this woman told the truth from the very beginning, and he felt pulled toward her right away. Barbra didn't fall for him as fast as he did, but after just a few days, she realized she couldn't stop thinking about him. She said what touched her most wasn't his looks or his fame. It was the calm way he supported her, the way he made her feel safe without even trying. Their connection grew quietly but fast. By the end of that year, they were already walking red carpets together. First at the movie premiere The Mirror Has Two Faces in 1996, where James stood proudly next to her, and later at the 69th Academy Awards, where they showed up as a couple for the first time in front of thousands of flashing cameras. And only 2 years after that strange and unexpected beginning, they would get married in a wedding that would change everything they thought they knew about love. On July 1st, 1998, they got married in the backyard of Barbra's Malibu home, surrounded by ocean air, soft light, and people who had loved them through all their different life chapters. Famous people were scattered among the guests, including people like Tom Hanks and John Travolta. But the feeling was far from a big celebrity show. It felt warm, private, and based on something deep. The wedding itself showed who Barbra had become at this point in her life. She didn't need a spotlight to prove anything anymore. She had spent decades giving the world her voice. And on this day, she chose to use it for something way more personal. During the ceremony, she sang 2 love songs just for James. There was no distance between performer and audience. It was a moment of pure emotion, a gift meant only for him. People would later say that it was one of the most tender things they had ever seen her do. Their wedding promises carried the weight of their past and the hope of their future. At some point, Barbra shared the belief that had guided her through every relationship. She said, "The secret is to listen carefully." She explained it in her own thoughtful way. "I think to be a good actor, you have to listen. To be a good person, you have to listen. To be a good marriage partner, you have to listen, hear the other person, agree to disagree." Her words were simple, but they held the wisdom of a woman who had lived, learned, and healed. Not long after the wedding, James had a moment that showed how much his life had changed. He got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Barbra stood next to him, glowing with the kind of quiet pride that only comes from true partnership. Their marriage didn't make either of them smaller. Instead, it lifted them both up. The whole event told a story without needing big displays. They had chosen home over a big show, closeness over attention, honesty over the noise of fame. Their marriage looked nothing like the classic Hollywood fantasy. It was gentler. It was more real. It was theirs. But before Barbara gave her heart to James, she had walked a long and complicated road of passion and heartbreak, a road that shaped every word she would one day sing to him. Long before James came into her life, Barbra Streisand had already lived through a lifetime of love stories that the world watched unfold in headlines and photographs. Her journey started with her first marriage to Elliot Gould, a marriage that lasted from 1963 to 1971. It began when she was young, full of big dreams and rising fast, and it ended as fame pulled their lives in different directions. After that, she had a whirlwind of romances with actors, artists, and well-known people. Some relationships burned brightly for a moment, others faded quietly. All of them were public, and all of them left marks on her heart. Through the years, Barbara became someone the world loved. But fame also made her careful. She learned that attention didn't protect love. Success didn't guarantee loyalty. Even the most passionate relationships didn't promise long-term happiness. Eventually, she looked at her own life and accepted that maybe a lasting marriage simply wasn't meant for her. She became comfortable raising her child, taking care of her home in Malibu, and pouring her energy into her work. She found peace in being alone, and she stopped expecting anything more. By the time she met James, she felt settled in this independence. Later, she would admit that she had given up on the idea of getting married again. But against all logic, something about him got under her guard. In her 2023 memoir, My Name is Barbara, she described how strange it felt to let someone in so quickly. It wasn't her usual pace, but James didn't seem scared by her fame or her past. He didn't shrink in her presence. His calm energy made her feel supported instead of overwhelmed, and that sense of stability drew her closer than she expected. Still, her history made her hesitate. She had been hurt before. She had been judged publicly and privately. She had learned to carry herself with strength because she had to. All of this made her slower to trust and slower to commit. James later said he had to propose more than once before she said yes. Those earlier relationships had shaped her into someone who protected her heart carefully. Meeting James at a moment when she was strong and independent changed everything. He came into her life not as a rescuer, but as someone who respected the woman she had become. Their bond formed in that space where independence meets real connection. While Barbara had learned the hard truth about love, James carried his own baggage, and the ghosts of his past were waiting to stir in ways neither of them could see coming. Before meeting Barbara, James Brolin had lived through his own maze of love and heartbreak. He had been married twice. First to Jane Cameron Agee from 1966 to 1984, then to Jan Smithers from 1986 to 1995. These marriages shaped the man he became, leaving him with 3 children, 2 sons, and 1 daughter. Each relationship carried joy and strain. Each left him with lessons about what love can give and what it can take away. When his second marriage ended, he reached a point where he didn't trust his own heart anymore. He later admitted that between his divorce in 1995 and meeting Barbara in 1996, he chose to be celibate for around 3 years. He explained that he hadn't had any interest in getting involved in a bad situation. For him, it wasn't just about avoiding romance. It was about rebuilding himself. He needed space, distance, and time to heal from the disappointments that piled up over the years. This is why when that blind date with Barbara was suggested, both of them almost canceled. Their hesitation came from the same place. Too many past wounds, too many promises that had broken apart, too much fear of starting again, only to watch it fall apart. Neither of them wanted to step into another emotional storm. But fate has a way of pushing people toward exactly what they're trying to avoid. In 2023, looking back at everything they had survived, James wrote to Barbara, "Marrying you was just the best thing I've ever done. I asked you 3 times. He acknowledged gently that she wasn't sure about this idea. His persistence came from a new kind of hope, a hope he hadn't felt in years. Over time, James also talked openly about how he approaches their marriage today. He has said, "I do believe in counseling. If anybody ever has a problem in their marriage, bring in a referee, talk it over. It will dispel by the end of the session." For him, therapy isn't shameful. It's survival. It's respect. It's teamwork. He also described something that reveals the quiet balance between them. When Barbra is focused or lost in her work, he steps back. He said, when she's busy, she's really focused. If I come to her with something important and she says, I don't have time right now, she doesn't have time. Period. It's not rejection. It's simply who she is. And he understands her rhythm. James came into Barbra's life carrying scars, caution, and a heart that had learned to be careful. She came into his life carrying her own history of hurt. Together, they created something neither expected. But even with their emotional baggage laid bare, what they built together would take forms more unusual, more private, and more eccentric than either had ever imagined. Barbra Streisand and James Brolin's life in Malibu was very unusual. It softened the rough edges that fame had carved into them and created a world where they could simply exist. When they came together, they didn't become the typical Hollywood couple that dazzles cameras or performs domestic perfection for the world. Instead, they created something quieter and more intimate, a blended family that grew naturally as their children from previous marriages came together under the same roof. It became a home where everyone fit together in their own way. Their daily routine was nothing like the glossy image most people imagine. In interviews, they often described a life built on closeness. They spent long nights awake, talking, working, dreaming. They were partners who moved around each other in comfortable silence, sometimes going hours without speaking, because just being there together was enough. Barbra once explained, "We go to bed very late. We have a different schedule. We love the silence of the night." It sounded simple, but for them, it was a sacred part of their connection. James joked about the thing that showed their bond better than anything else. He said their best investment over the years was their mattress. His exact words carry both humor and affection. "We love to sleep late. We do a lot of our work right next to each other." It painted a picture of two people who never felt the need to escape to separate corners. They read next to each other. They worked next to each other. They lived in the quiet companionship that many couples spend years trying to learn. When tension did show up, they had their own way of handling it. James said, "You learn to take a walk, both of us, not just me." He explained that stepping away for a moment could ease more strain than arguing ever could. It was a simple trick, but it kept their peace intact. Their unusual routine sometimes made outsiders wonder what went on behind those Malibu gates. People often imagine eccentric habits or secret traditions because a couple kept their world so private. Their home life was wrapped in quiet, their schedules odd, their partnership steady in a way that almost felt old-fashioned. And while rumors floated through magazines about bizarre habits or extravagant private spaces, nothing confirmed those stories. What was real was way simpler. They valued comfort, privacy, and the kind of companionship that didn't need an audience. Still, in the shadows of privilege and privacy, whispers began to stir. Whispers some would frame as hints of dysfunction, cracks beneath the comfort that would soon demand uncomfortable truths. Over the years, rumors about their private life have spread widely. Some tabloids have suggested tension in their marriage, claiming that long years together could lead to disagreements. Others have guessed that their blended family might be a source of conflict, pointing to differences in parenting styles or clashing schedules. Despite these whispers, neither Barbra nor James has given weight to these claims in public statements. Speculation has also surrounded their private habits. Rumors have suggested that the couple lives extremely separately within the same household, with some claiming they rarely interact outside work or public events. The blended family has also attracted gossip. Some have suggested tension between Barbra's son and James' children or difficulties in bringing the households together. But interviews with their stepson, Josh Brolin, credit Barbra for her care and guidance, including helping him achieve sobriety and calling her straightforward and compassionate. Such accounts challenge rumors of family conflict, showing that their private life includes mutual support and respect. Their strongest test came during the COVID lockdown from 2020 to 2021. Many couples struggled with the forced closeness. But for Barbra and James, the opposite happened. Suddenly, they were together every day with no work tours, no travel, and no Hollywood noise. That kind of stillness can expose cracks or strengthen roots. For them, it strengthened everything. James said that being stuck together every day actually made them fall in love over this period of time. He added that many marriages didn't survive lockdown, but they grew closer. Those months created a kind of closeness they had never experienced before. A deeper appreciation for small routines, shared mornings and quiet nights. And despite the whispers that occasionally floated around them, there were no confirmed stories of collapse or crisis. Their life wasn't a dramatic saga. It was a mature partnership shaped by communication, independence, and respect. Nothing flashy, nothing chaotic, just two people who chose peace over performance. As of 2025, Barbra Streisand and James Brolin continue to enjoy a strong, steady relationship that has lasted nearly 3 decades. Their marriage, now over 27 years old, is marked by quiet affection and shared routines rather than public drama. In July 2025, Barbra posted an old photo on social media to celebrate their anniversary, writing, "We met on a blind date 29 years ago tonight, and we married 27 years ago today. I love you, honey." This simple but heartfelt gesture shows how they continue to value each other deeply, keeping their bond alive through small, meaningful moments. Despite fame and public scrutiny, the couple has created a lifestyle focused on comfort and closeness. Family plays a central role in their lives. Though Barbra and James don't have children together, they treasure their blended family, which includes children and grandchildren from previous marriages. Their family life remains warm and close-knit, a space where the couple puts love, stability, and personal connection over publicity first. Their social life has become more selective in recent years. While Barbra remains creatively active, releasing projects like her 2025 Duets album, the couple largely avoids the chaos of Hollywood premieres or loud events. Barbra reportedly enjoys the comfort home, which includes a private space for relaxation and hobbies, allowing them to keep peace and privacy away from the spotlight. James has also slowed down slightly, embracing a quieter lifestyle that matches their home-centered routine. Even in this quieter phase, the couple stays connected to the world in ways that suit them. Public appearances are limited but meaningful, often linked to family events or personal projects rather than routine celebrity obligations. Their bond seems rooted in shared values, mutual respect, and the simple joy of spending time together. In short, Barbra and James are thriving in a life of calm, comfort, and lasting love. Their current state reflects a mature relationship that values privacy, quiet companionship, and family warmth. In a world often obsessed with spectacle, they have found contentment in the simple, unseen rhythms of daily life, proving that lasting love can exist quietly, steadily, and beautifully behind closed doors. What do you think about how Barbra and James have built such a quiet yet strong life together? Share your thoughts in the comments below.